What's up, boys? It's Calkers, and today I'm going to be doing the 100 subscriber special Q&A video. Today's going to be the first Q&A video which I'm doing. I'm going to be answering all of your guys' questions. I even told some of my friends to go ahead and put in some questions in the comments and, ask me any sort of questions which you like. It can be related to fitness, non-related to fitness, and I said I'm going to do this Q&A like 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm here making it today. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And at first, I actually want to go ahead and hit a workout at the gym. I'm going to be following a standard sort of full body workout, which I do 3 times per week. So yeah, first I'm going to go ahead and, hit a little workout. And after the workout, I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. So I haven't read the questions, by the way. I don't know who commented really under my video or under the community post, which I made like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I haven't read the questions, and I'm going to be answering as best as I can and as authentically as I can. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So yeah, I'm going to be heading to the gym right now. I'm going to be trying to record as much as I can and, show you guys my workout. This is going to be like the third sort of like vlog type video which I'm doing. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
Открывая замки, я буду вспоминать, как горели огни и от любви умирать. Может, рядом с тобой нам было хорошо, что-то там за спиной меня так обожгло. Нежно обними, нежно опять мою руку возьми, чтобы вместе упасть. И в объятиях твоих так хочу я дышать. Не могу без тебя и не могу ждать. Я схожу с ума, мне мало, 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 мне мало, мало, мало тебя. Знаю я сама. Мне мало, 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 мне мало, мало, мало тебя. Я схожу с ума. Мне мало, 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 мне мало, мало, мало тебя. Знаю я сама. Мне мало, 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 мне мало, мало, мало тебя.
All right, so I just got back from the gym. I haven't eaten anything, so I'm just so excited to just read your guys' questions, because I know that some people actually went ahead and wrote down a comment and gave me a question for me to answer, but I haven't read a single one of them. I've sent it to a few of my friends, so I'm assuming they went ahead and, dropped a question. So yeah, I'm like so excited, bro, because like this is so fun, bro. Like genuinely people who want to know something from me, they have a question to ask. So yeah, I'm going to be reading these questions off of my computer. I was going to read it off my second phone, since I got two
phones, one for the plug and one for the load. I got two phones, one for the bitches and one for the dough.
Anyway, I'm gonna be just reading off of my computer and I'll be trying to answer as best as I can to these questions, of course. And, check out this new angle though. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my YouTube community posts and I'm gonna be reading each question one by one. I'm gonna be starting off with the people who first went ahead and asked the question. So, okay, first question by Adam. What is your diet like? What foods do you eat and recommend to build muscle? So, my diet mostly consists of whole foods. I try and stay away from processed foods, like the classic sort of like junk food, which is like, pizzas, burgers, ice cream, sweets, and all that stuff. I don't even crave these things anymore, but my diet mostly consists of, I basically try and eat the same things almost every day. I don't really get bored of the food which I eat. And something, for example, which I'll have for breakfast would be I usually have 5 or 6 eggs in the morning. I have it with some rye bread. This is like sort of like the Lithuanian sort of like, dark bread. And I have the eggs with like some cheese, and that's basically my meal. And for lunch, dinner, it's basically I have like some chicken thighs, I have like some ground pork, I can have like some meatballs made from the ground pork. I would eat ground beef though, but ground beef in Lithuania is pretty expensive compared to pork. So I'll have like some pork with, some rice, potatoes. Rarely I'll also have like some pasta with it. So usually my meals are like, chicken breast, chicken thighs. Those foods, of course, they have like a ton of protein, especially like chicken. It's fairly lean as well. Chicken thighs I prefer them slightly more since they're, higher in calories. It's easier to like bulk with them compared to like chicken breast. But yeah, like my meals mostly consist of like ground pork, chicken breast, chicken thighs, even chicken wings sometimes with like some rice, some white potatoes, like that's basically it. For pre-workout, I like to have like some oatmeal. So it's like oatmeal with some protein powder. I'll have it with like some frozen berries, since they're cheaper than just buying like the fresh fruits all the time. So yeah, like that's mostly what I eat, It's basically I rotate between these meals and yeah, sticking to the same meals is fairly easier to actually go ahead and bulk consistently. So yeah, hope that answered your question. Second question is from X Brock Mess. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but hey Nate, I have just discovered you on Shorts, and as a beginner, I've got some questions. Okay, so first, what should a beginner focus on first? Okay, what should a beginner focus on first in the gym? And I actually have a straight up answer for this, and this is going to be I think every single beginner shouldn't be focusing on what's the best workout, what's the best splits. And I know you guys want to like find out what's the best for you, but really the biggest thing which beginners need to focus on is literally like making a habit of even going to the gym, because I think it's like 50-60% of people, once they start going to the gym on January, like new year, new me, they quit the gym in like 3 months. So not that many people actually stay in the gym. So your biggest thing should be just even going to the gym in the first place. Doesn't matter like what you're really doing in the gym. As long as you're training, you're doing something in the gym, you're basically going to go ahead and grow, because as a beginner, you have a thing which is called newbie gains. Your body isn't used to training whatsoever. So if you actually go ahead and do something in the gym, you do like some type of resistance training, of course, like you should be going ahead and trying to do it, with good form. If you don't know what exercises to do and you don't know how to do it with good form, maybe you can even hire like a personal trainer. You can train with like a friend or somebody who's a little bit more experienced than you, and they can actually go ahead and help you out and stuff. So second question, how many days a week should I train? I'm assuming, yeah, as a beginner, yeah. So as a beginner, I would say, even just like as a beginner, like 2-3 times per week, you can be doing like full body, which is even something which I do. I do full body 3 times per week, even though I've been training for over 4 years. As a beginner, like I wouldn't recommend a split, which is like a PPL, which is like 6 days per week. Like even just training 2 to 3 times per week. As I'm saying, as long as you even head to the gym in the first place, that's going to go ahead and like you're still going to go ahead and make progress, basically. Okay, third, who is your first follower, or do you know him? Okay, so I might be wrong, but I think my first follower ever on YouTube. No, I actually know. I was gonna say my first follower is actually my dad, but no, I think my first follower ever was a guy. He's actually a YouTuber himself. I forgot his name really. I sent it in a Discord server once. So actually, a little fun fact about this channel is that the very first video on this channel, when you click on like the oldest videos on my channel, that's not actually my very first video on this specific channel. I have 2 videos which are privated, and the first video which I ever made was in 2024 in July, and the whole video was like poor and everything. It's like 3 minutes of like me just talking, basically. There's like no even face cam. I was just talking about something completely unrelated to fitness. So a guy who actually was my first subscriber is a guy who I actually know. I don't talk to him anymore, but yeah, I remember specifically because he's actually a YouTuber himself, and I sent it to his Discord server. So yeah. Fourth question: how much protein should a beginner eat? Well, I think beginners, intermediates, advanced people in the gym, they should be still getting the same amount of protein, right? So you should be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or like 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight, or it's like 1.7 to 2 grams of protein of your kg uh, in protein. So basically, like if you're weighing, let's say that you're weighing 160 pounds, then you should be aiming to get somewhere near 160 grams of protein. So it's best to even get a little bit more protein, because with some foods, the bioavailability of protein is not perfect. But if you're eating mostly meat, if you're eating mostly animal products, then the protein is way more bioavailable than if you're just eating like a vegan diet and you're eating like tofu, plant-based meats, beans, legumes, all that stuff. So yeah, I think everybody should just be getting the same amount of protein despite whatever sort of history you have with training. Fifth question: what was the hardest part when you started? The hardest part? Well, when I started, okay, what was the hardest part? To be honest, the hardest part was not even the training itself or like really the diet. Like honestly, the real hardest part was when I first started training, I was doing calisthenics, and I would, go outside to this like park near my home, and it had like, some pull-up bars, some dip bars, and honestly the hardest and most like challenging part was, my own anxiety, which I would get when I would be training outside, because I was so scared that, like somebody from my school, my friends or whatever, they're going to see me working out and they're just going to like laugh and judge. But of course I overcame this anxiety because I know that like, nobody actually cares. And if anything, it's like the people who do genuinely work out, and like for example, like they have a great physique, they have a ton of muscle, they're really strong, like they're gonna go ahead and respect you for even training in the first place. So yeah, like don't be afraid to just like work out. Doesn't matter if it's outside or in the gym, especially in the gym, bro, because like everyone who goes to the gym, like they're only going to the gym for one reason, or at least they should be going to the gym for one reason, which is for themselves. Like they should be going to the gym because they're focusing on actually building muscle, they're focusing on their own progress in the gym. They're not thinking of other people when they go to the gym and like staring at people. Sixth question: do you ever felt embarrassed during gym sessions? Yeah, as I said, when I first started out, and I also get kind of embarrassed when I have to actually record in the gym as I'm doing like certain, exercises and stuff. But overall, like when I go to the gym, like I'm not embarrassed, like whatsoever. If anything, like I'm proud of myself for going to the gym. Of course, like there is some embarrassment, maybe sometimes, as I'm saying, like when I'm recording it or something. But, like the average guy who goes to the gym, like there is no reason to go ahead and be embarrassed. Seventh question: what is your main goal in the gym and overall life? Okay. I see that this is like the best question for last. Okay. What is your main goal in gym and overall life? In the gym, my main goal, honestly, right now, my main goal is actually getting stronger on the bench press because I want to go ahead and get to a 100 kg bench, or which is roughly about 225 pounds on the bench. I've never trained specifically to get stronger on the bench, really. And ever since, like, I don't know, I started training the bench press again after, like, I started training it just this month, but I haven't been doing bench press since like 2 years ago. Like I did it maybe like a few times, but I've been specifically sticking to just only incline dumbbell press. I thought like, like why should I go ahead and like get strong on the bench? I was thinking like, bro, like, aesthetics is the priority. I should like develop my upper chest, and which I still agree, like everyone who wants to build an aesthetic physique, they should be focusing on their upper chest. But I want to actually get strong on the bench press because I see that this movement is actually like a fundamental movement, which I think, basically like every beginner should at least go ahead and learn the movement, like get relatively strong at it. So yeah, that's basically like my main goal in the gym right now, besides just overall getting stronger, building a muscle, just improving my whole physique, and in overall life, well, I have like, of course, like the gym is a part of like my goals in life, but outside of that, I want to grow this YouTube channel. Like this is something which, I'm passionate about, and I've been posting for over a year, and I really do see myself in the future still posting videos and, making money off of YouTube, and just, inspiring other people to actually, you know go to the gym and actually get an aesthetic physique, get strong in the gym, to be healthy, because going to the gym is like one of the greatest things which young men can do, or just people in general, because going to the gym and building muscles is just so fundamental to life. It like literally changes your mindset, it improves your discipline. It even helps in the longevity aspect of, having strong muscles actually protects like your joints and stuff. And people who train in the gym, they're actually, they have less chance of developing like diseases and, like, cracking a bone or something when they're older because their joints are weak and stuff. So yeah. Okay, next person. What are the main bulking tips that you got when you are in your journey? So the main bulking tips, I would say, is, first of all, I think the biggest tip is actually tracking your calories, because if you're somebody who struggles to go ahead and gain weight, then it's as simple as you're not eating enough, and it's hard to judge how much food you're actually eating, how many calories you're consuming per day, when you don't actually know the exact calorie number. So really tracking your calories, just getting like a free app which, tracks your calories. You don't have to specifically get a paid one, but just go ahead and make it a habit to actually track all of your food when you're actually eating every single meal, every single snack which you get. Just track it all in the app, and you'll just know how much protein you're getting, how much calories you're getting. And another thing would be actually setting a specific time in the day as to when you should eat your meals, because if you're somebody who doesn't have a big appetite, you have like a fast metabolism, or you're somebody who's like very much working all day, or you're just busy, you're out somewhere and everything, you just forget to eat, especially as like skinny guys, you just forget to eat. And you can eat like maybe one meal a day and you'll be fine and stuff. But if you want to bulk effectively, then it's best to just have a specific time in the day when you eat, so basically like don't skip breakfast. I would recommend not skipping breakfast, and just like get one meal in as your breakfast, have a meal like, I don't know, after school, during school, before you go to the gym, after the gym. Like set specific times when you're going to be actually getting a meal. You don't have to have the same meals every single day, but it actually helps to understand how much calories you're getting, how much protein you're getting, if you're eating the same foods every single day. And it's going to be so much easier in the long run, So yeah, those would be my main tips. And also a little tip, if you're really struggling to get the calories in, is drink your calories. Go ahead and make like protein shakes. Go ahead and make bulking shakes. You can be with like some milk, oatmeal, protein powder, peanut butter, You know, like don't add in like Nutella or something, you know, like don't add like some ultra processed sugary syrup or something. But, you know, if you really need to get those calories in, then go ahead and make shakes. You know, it's so much easier than to just eat like a whole, you know, food and stuff. Next question. What are the safest and most effective strength training exercises? The safest exercises are exercises which feel good on your joints. And for most people, doing machines, they can be like, I don't know, like a chest fly, a chest press machine, like a lat pull down. Like those machines are generally safe. And people, if they get injured on an exercise, it's usually due to not warming up properly, ego lifting. And as long as you relatively, you know, like you don't ego lift and you perform the exercise correctly, then you'll be good. Like you won't injure yourself. But if you're doing a specific exercise, like you can be still doing an exercise good, but you know, like the same thing goes with me and like other people. Like there's specific exercises which you could do on like good form and stuff, but like you still experience some sort of discomfort. I know some people who they just don't like barbell rows. They say that, you know, they get like a lot of pain in their lower back. I'm personally fine with doing like barbell rows. I don't get any sort of pain in my lower back or anywhere. But simply, if you don't like an exercise and you're still doing it correctly, then just change your exercise. You know, like there's nothing wrong with like, for example, if like generally like if you squat and it just is so bad for you, like you can change it to a different squat variation or just do like a leg press. You know, but of course, I would say that with most exercises, you should actually aim to, you know, learn the movement itself, not just, you know, like dropping every single exercise. So yeah, don't ego lift, warm up properly. And if you're really concerned about, you know, not getting injured, I would say to do machines. Machines are generally more safer than free weights since the pattern on the machines is strict. Okay, next question. My friend commented this. Yeah. He told me to keep the picture, so yeah, I'm not going to be blurring it out. But if this video gets taken down, it's because of him, of course. So, okay, his question: what are your plans for YouTube in the future as a content creator? Okay, and the next question is: have you considered doing live streams like working out? Okay, to answer the first question, what are your plans for YouTube in the future as a content creator? Well, for YouTube, I still plan on making videos. I genuinely like the sort of format which I'm making right now. Maybe I would incorporate more and more vlogs because I like to, you know, film my workouts, talk, and, you know, like when I'm not having like a specific script or anything. As for like videos and stuff, I would like to, for example, collaborate with other YouTubers and like the friends I know and stuff. So that's something which I would like to do. And of course, like maybe in the future, I'll hire multiple editors as well. So to make my shorts and to, you know, edit my, you know, long format videos, because right now I record, edit, and post all of my videos. So some of the videos, you know, it takes like a while to go ahead and post since I'm editing all of the videos myself. So editing is like the biggest thing which takes up the most time and stuff. So the second thing, have you considered doing live streams like working out? I would do live streams, but I don't think I'll be doing a live stream where I'm working out unless I'm like working out outside in like a park. But in like a public gym, I wouldn't really do like those types of live streams. I just don't like doing them. I think it's, you know, kind of weird, you know, to be live streaming in a place where there's other people working out. Like some people, like they don't want to be on camera and stuff, especially, you know, it's like a live stream. But just doing live streams on my channel, doing live streams on TikTok, I would consider doing them as long as, you know, I get people who actually join. So yeah, I would consider live streams in the future. But as for now, I'm gonna be still posting the normal sort of videos which I make. Okay, next question from Noyes. This is a guy who was in my previous video. You know, I was like working out with him, and this guy monks me, by the way. Okay, if you met your 13-year-old self, what mistakes would you tell him to avoid to faster build muscle that you have right now? The mistakes which I would point out to him, it would be to go ahead and actually bulk properly, because by far the biggest mistake which I made was just not lean bulking. I wasn't even like tracking my calories, like I wasn't taking bulking seriously. I would I did know the concept of actually, eating more and stuff, but I just never like tracked my calories, and that's the reason why I didn't grow as much as I did. I think I was training relatively hard, and I had good exercise selection. Maybe I was doing a little bit too much volume, but yeah, the biggest thing was just like not eating enough. Like I was training hard and I was like thinking, why am I not growing? Because I literally was not eating enough. Like that's the biggest mistake which I made, was just neglecting diet basically. And the foods which I was eating weren't even that good as well. I was still eating all these like seed oils and stuff, like protein bars every single day. Like my diet literally, like when I was what, like 14 years old, 13, like when I first started training, I did get into like the fitness culture a bit, so I was still eating like a bunch of like these protein powders. Like I was having it every single day, like often. It wasn't like a one time per day thing. Like I would get like 2 protein bars, like 3 scoops of like protein powder. Like I was just avoiding like real food, because I was thinking like, oh, like I'm home alone and stuff. Like my parents aren't home or whatever. Like I don't want to cook my own food, and I was just avoiding it. Yeah, another tip with like lean bulking is just like learn how to cook your own food. I think so many people would genuinely have a better diet if they knew how to cook. And learning how to cook is as simple as going on YouTube and literally searching up how to cook. Because literally I have eggs every single day in the morning, and before cooking my own eggs, I was literally like searching on YouTube. I watched like 3 4 tutorials on how to cook eggs, how to cook fried eggs, how to cook scrambled eggs. I looked up how to cook ground beef, ground pork. I looked all of this stuff up, and I can cook my own food now, and it tastes pretty okay. So yeah. Last question, at least in the community post, is from Matt Have. I've got a couple questions. Okay. 8 questions, man. I'm already recording this for 20 minutes. Okay, man. Okay, first question. How did you manage to be consistent on YouTube? Congrats on 100 subscribers, by the way. Thank you, bro. So, how did you manage to be consistent on YouTube? The thing is, I'm not actually that consistent on YouTube. Like, I don't post as much as I would want to. There's people who I know that they post similar content like me, and they actually post way more often. So, um, but I would say that staying consistent on YouTube for me is just something which I like to do, and it's something which I didn't want to give up straight away, because a big thing in my life was many years ago when I would be doing other sort of stuff, was I would just quit so soon. Like I wanted to, for example, get into like programming like a few years ago, like, oh, it would be pretty cool to code or whatever. And I would like get into it. I would watch like some tutorials, some videos on, programming, how to be a programmer, learning like what is it, like Python or whatever. I would give up in like 3 4 days. I would just say like, oh yeah, this isn't for me. Like I'm not smart enough to do this. Same thing goes with like any sort of thing which I wanted to do. I wanted to be like a music producer or something. I would just like lose that spark basically in a few days. And I didn't want to go ahead and sacrifice comfort. I didn't want to just like be bad at something. Like I wanted to like be talented. And for a long time I was thinking like, oh, I'm stupid, like I'm not smart, I'm not good at school, I'm not good at anything, so like like why should I try at anything? So really it's just about posting, like how to be consistent on YouTube. Just post, man. Post, and just like find the enjoyment through posting. If you really like despise making videos on YouTube, of course you're not going to be like as consistent as you would want to be, because you don't like it. Yeah. Second question. Did you ever have that cringe feeling regarding your content or some limiting beliefs of any kind? If yes, then how did you overcome them and still posted stuff like, I don't know, maybe your friends would laugh at your videos or something? Good question. Good question, honestly. Yeah. Of course I've had that cringe. I really felt that cringe not even on my first ever video. I felt the biggest cringe when I went ahead and started posting on TikTok, like the TikTok which I have, it's like link in the description and stuff, follow me. I also feel like a cringe, like if I were to right now go ahead and watch like my videos, which were like a few months ago, My videos have improved since then, but I'm trying to like, be more relaxed in my videos and stuff, like to, like not be stiff and stuff, But the biggest cringe was when I started posting on TikTok, when I would watch my videos, like, I would just crop out certain clips from my, long format videos such as this, and I'll post it onto TikTok, with like the subtitles and stuff. And like my friends, or like my old friends, they saw my stuff, like my TikTok, and they found out about this YouTube channel, and they were like, "Oh wait, he posts videos and stuff." And you know, it's gonna be a little bit personal and stuff, but um, I didn't get any sort of like direct hate. Like they didn't start like posting negative comments under my videos, under my TikToks and all that stuff. But I know that they were just, like making fun of me. Like some of them are even watching this video right now. They still watch my videos, and behind my back, they basically go ahead and laugh. I know that they're like posting it to like their group chat and stuff, but honestly, I don't care anymore. And like with this whole thing of like, being afraid of what other people think, is that you got to understand that most people, they're not thinking about you 24/7 unless they're like into you. Like if it's a girl, then she probably has a crush on you. If she's thinking about you and she's like watching all your videos and stuff, she's like stalking your account. Or if it's a dude, he might be a little gay, bro. Like I'm gonna be honest, So yeah, I think I still have like some limiting beliefs, but posting on YouTube is actually like, I think it solved a few of my limiting beliefs, as I said previously. Before posting on YouTube, I genuinely thought like I was just like, stupid, like I'm talentless, like I can't do anything, like I can't do anything which I want, like some people talk about like, oh yeah, like I'm bad at school, but I'm really good at this thing or this thing. I never really had that, but I'm giving YouTube a try, like I'm not a perfect speaker, I don't have the perfect physique, but I'm trying to portray how I really am, like I give genuine advice, which I think is beneficial to my younger self, and I know it's going to be beneficial for the people watching this video, so you guys can learn from me. Third, how long did it take for you to go from skinny to jacked? Like I wouldn't even call myself really like jacked right now, but of course, like if you're talking about like the physique which I have like right now, bro, like I've been training on and off for 4 years, over 4 years, a little bit. It's been on and off the first like two or even like 3 years, really. Like I started taking training seriously when I began like really like posting on, like this YouTube channel. Like I genuinely like cared so much about fitness, and I'd think about it like all the time, and I would watch these videos and trying to actually get the best tips and like, learn more about fitness. But yeah, I've been training on and off for 4 years, and like I hit many plateaus. I talk about it in like my older videos and stuff. Like I hit plateaus so often, and it's all about just like still going to the gym. I genuinely have like this sort of identity formed inside of me. Like it's not hard for me to like go to the gym. I enjoy going to the gym. Like even on like a bad day, I still go to the gym. It's like a non-negotiable thing. If I said I'm gonna go to the gym on Monday, I'm gonna go to the gym on Monday. It's not something which I peer pressure myself into like doing or anything. At the start, it might be like that a little bit for some people, but I think most people actually get addicted to the gym once they start going to the gym for a few months and they see that they're making progress in the mirror, they're making progress in the gym, they're getting stronger. So yeah. Fourth question: the best and worst advice you've got in life. Man, like these questions are deep, bro. Like, okay, the best and worst advice you have got in your life. I'm trying to think of something on the top of my head right now as I'm recording. Like I'm not, bro. Like mad have, bro. Like with some of these questions, bro, I gotta like bring out my journal or something. I gotta like actually write it down and just like like answer with something deep, bro. But the best and worst advice. The worst advice. I don't even know what the worst advice I've ever gotten. There hasn't really been like a worst advice. Like there hasn't been a time where I would ask for somebody for advice and they'll genuinely give like the worst advice possible. Maybe it's advice which isn't correlated to me. I don't know. Like the worst advice I've probably ever gotten was like, I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Like the worst advice which I got was like, I don't know, bro. Probably when I played like League of Legends and somebody told me to like off myself, basically.
They're all telling me to kill myself!
But the best advice which I've got in my life, I'm really trying to think. Like, I wish I could just say it on the top of my head. Oh yeah, like this is the worst and this is the best advice. But the best advice would probably be, I don't know, like to not compare yourself to others, or like go ahead and like not be afraid to sacrifice comfort for growth. So basically, like, don't rely on motivation alone. And like, great things, it requires discipline, it requires discomfort, and it requires hard work and time. Like, that's honestly the best advice. It's basic advice, of course. It's not going to be perfect, but if you apply it, it's like pretty good. Yeah, I've already been recording for 30 minutes. Okay, but I really want to answer all of your guys' questions. So yeah. Fifth question: if there was one advice or three main things, what would you have said to your younger self? I'm assuming you're just talking about life. If there was one advice or three main things, okay, I think it's best if I just say three main things. It would be like to my younger self. Okay, when I'm thinking about my younger self, I'm thinking about that, kid, like 11, 12 years old. This one advice which like keeps popping into my head is basically just choose the people who choose you, because I had like this problem where I would get like attached to people who didn't like me, and I'll be like so upset if like somebody doesn't like me, and it would like ruin my mood. I would think of myself less, basically, because like somebody doesn't like me. Another thing would be, in order to be good at something, you need to like work on it. Like with some things which you want to like be good at, like for example, like a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm not good with talking in public, I'm not good at talking to people, I'm not charismatic or anything. Like, you can learn these things, like you can understand what it means to be a charismatic person, what it means to actually go ahead and be like sort of like an extrovert. Like, all of these things can be learned. It's not something which you're just born with it or not. Like, you can most definitely learn anything. Like, for example, like with editing, bro. Like, when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't know how to edit whatsoever. And when I would be editing these videos, and let's say I have like a good idea in my mind, oh yeah, I want to make like this transition or something, I'll search it up on YouTube. Like, everything can be learned. Every single thing which you want to learn, like in regards to like fitness and life, any sort of skill, any sort of side hustle, anything, like it can all be learned. And okay, another thing would be, yeah, not compare yourself to others. I would really compare myself to others, especially when I was like very young, in regards to everything. It kind of ties into like the same problem where I was comparing myself to others, and I'll see like, oh yeah, like this guy, he's actually really good at doing this thing, and why am I not good at this thing? Like, oh, my friend, he's really good at math, but why am I not good at math? Like, oh, he only studies for like 10 minutes and he knows everything. Like, all of us are different. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses, or you can basically like not have any weaknesses. If you really care about it, you can get, as I said, like you can get good at anything which you want. Like, if you're bad at math, you don't just label yourself as, oh, I'm somebody who's bad at math. Oh, I can't do math, bro. Like, I can't do math. You gotta have this mindset that like, if I want to learn something, it actually takes time. Like, I can learn anything which I want. Like, I'm capable of so much more than I think. And you shouldn't put like these limiting beliefs on yourself. Like, oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm this type of person. I'm this type of person. No, Sixth question. Also, any tips you've got regarding making content on YouTube, stuff you wish you knew when you started? When I started, it would be, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to, I think, I'm trying to incorporate this more into my videos. I'm really just trying to, be more loose, like I'm not trying to be like this guy who just, like I'm not trying to pretend that I know every single thing. I'm not trying to pretend that I have, the best physique, I have the best knowledge, but I'm speaking from my own experience. I'm trying to be myself in my videos. I'm not trying to put up any sort of facade in my videos, like the things which I say, I genuinely like, believe in, and that's the type of advice which I give. And as for YouTube, like, don't overthink. If you're somebody who also wants to post YouTube videos, like, you don't have to, like, oh, I must have a good microphone, I must have like a good camera or anything. Just go ahead and pick up the phone. If you want to find out if you're wanting to pursue YouTube, just go ahead and record your first video like today. Like that's really it. And so many people just overthink this for months. They just don't choose the path which they want to go in, and they just think like, oh yeah, like when I'm 18, when I'm 20 years old, oh, when I finish school or whatever, then I'm gonna do that thing which I want to do. What I'm saying? That's all of a big cope. Like doesn't matter what kind of situation you were in. 7, tell us about your origin story. How did you get into self-improvement and stuff? Okay, into self-improvement, I started getting into self-improvement around 2021, 2022, around the time when, like people like Hamza were really like popping off and stuff. And okay, I'm not going to explain like my whole life story, but to basically put it, during quarantine, I was genuinely like depressed. As I said, like I had so many like limiting beliefs on myself. I thought I was so incapable. I don't know. I thought like, my parents don't love me. I thought that I'm not good at school, like I don't have any friends, all this type of stuff. I basically labeled myself as depressed. I'm like anxious. I'm not good at anything. I'm in, like I have ADHD or anything. And I was just like so unhappy with my life. And fitness was the first thing which was pushing me towards the self-improvement route. And honestly, what got me into fitness was the whole Ziz meme, like in 2022, like reject weakness, embrace masculinity. Even though it's a meme, it gave me hope. Fitness gave me hope, and it showed me that if I put in enough time and effort, I can become something. Like I can become a better person, I can become a stronger person, I can become successful, for example. And that was the biggest thing which like gave me hope. And that's how I started getting more into self-improvement, because I understood now that I can actually become better. Like I didn't just label myself as, oh, I'm depressed, I'm stupid, I'm talentless, anything. So like, yeah, like self-improvement, like I got more into like, I started taking like the cold showers, meditating, I started doing gratitude journaling, like the basic sort of advice if you watch the YouTuber Hamza basically promotes. So yeah, and of course, since then, my self-improvement hasn't only just been like this. It's been like this, and like it hasn't been like a straight line up. Of course, I went on self-improvement a little bit on and off. I still fall into like my ruts, and thinking that I'm not progressing in life, I'm not progressing in the gym, I'm not progressing on self-improvement. But I'm still proud that like I'm still here, I'm still posting these videos, I'm still going to the gym, I'm still thinking every single day, how do I become, like a better person? How do I become more productive with my time, not wasting my time? Okay, and 8th, share the worst and best moments in your life. Man, like I'm gonna be like exposing myself so much, like, I think like some of my friends who are watching this video, maybe they don't know even all of like, like this sort of like deeper things, I guess, about me. The worst and best moment in your life. I don't know the exact worst moment or the exact best moment, but I'll try and like basically describe. One of the worser moments would be like a few years ago when I was like still in middle school. I was again like 12, 13 years old. A bunch of stuff happened, man, like in regards to like I was failing school, I was getting bad grades. Yet again, I still had like this mindset of like I'm terrible at everything, I'm bad at everything, like I'm stupid, I'm talentless. A bunch of like stuff compounds. Like my friends were talking bad about me. Like even they were like kind of like even though like you would consider them your friends, like they were just like bullying you and all this stuff. Like they'll say like, oh yeah, but like you were fine, you were laughing or whatever. But deep down, like all of these like things which people say to you, like it all ingrains in your like subconscious mind. Like you start believing these things that you're stupid and all that stuff. I was like failing school, and like a few years ago, like I genuinely thought, I'm 17 years old and I'll be 18 in a few months. But I was thinking that when the time I become 18, I'm gonna like, be homeless or something. Like I genuinely believe this, and like some people might be watching this and thinking this is kind of funny, but I genuinely mean this. Like I was thinking that I'm not good at anything. Like, what will I do with my life? Like I'm failing school, like I can't do anything. And by the time I'm 18, I'm just going to be like homeless. I don't know, like my parents are going to kick me out of they're gonna kick me out of the house or something, you know, like I'm genuinely gonna like sweep the streets and stuff, you know. And yeah, the hardest moment was I felt like I had nobody. I felt like I had nobody who understands me. Of course, later on, I understood that, you know, there is people who care about me, who love me, you know, like my family, my friends, like, you know, my close friends. Like, there's people who I know for multiple years, just online friendships, you know, like people who I haven't even met in person, you know, and they genuinely helped me out. And, you know, like some of these people, like, might be watching this video, and, you know, I really appreciate it, you know. And the best moment in your life, honestly, like this is gonna sound a little bit cliche, but I would say like my life right now. I wouldn't say it's like the very peak, but I feel pretty good right now compared to, you know, like from the worst period in my life to now. I would say like this is one of like I'm happy. I'm happy, like, you know, like I'm doing this video, you know, it's like I'm recording for over 40, like it says I'm recording for over like 45 minutes right now, you know, like I'm happy. I'm happy that I have the courage to go ahead and record this video, to like talk about myself, to talk about my fitness, to show my progress, to show my physique, you know, to talk about the old mistakes which I made, to show like my old pictures, you know, like when I was a kid, like when I was taking pictures of my, you know, physique, like when I was like skinny and, you know, I was young, like I wasn't thinking, yeah, in the future I'm gonna use this for like a video or anything. I was just posting it for myself, or I'll send it to like a few people sometimes, you know, send it to like Discord servers and stuff. I'm happy with the life which I'm living right now. Like I'm happy, you know, like I have people who support me. Like there's people who support this channel. They support me posting these videos, and you know, I'm happy to see that, you know, like people watch my videos, you know. I have over 100 subscribers. Like I would have never believed this, you know. Like a few years ago, you would tell me like, "Oh yeah, by the way, like you're gonna be posting on YouTube." I wouldn't have believed you. Like maybe I don't know, maybe I would have like posted like gaming videos or something. But I'm posting a video with my face, showing my old pictures of my physique, you know, talking about, you know, like the gym and progress and all that stuff. Like I wouldn't believe you, you know. So yeah, that was the final question from Madhow. Bro, he wrote, "These are some juicy stuff." Yeah, sure is some juicy sort of questions, and I'm gonna see if there are any questions from uh the recent video which I made. I said like I'm gonna do a Q&A next video. Okay, one more question. It's from Noyus again. How do you handle feeling stuck or unmotivated for extended periods? If I'm in a rut, if I'm feeling unmotivated, or, you know, I still have a lot of those days, you know, like I'm not saying that, you know, like my life is perfect or anything. Even though I'm doing better than I was before, like I still have my times where I'm just like unsatisfied. Taking action is one of the greatest things which you can do when you're like feeling unmotivated. And, you know, it sounds really hard to go ahead and take action when you're feeling depressed, you're feeling unmotivated, you're feeling like, you know, like you're lonely, you're sad. But really just like taking action, like, you know, taking little steps little by little, like it gets you moving, it gets you taking action, and you're gonna feel better about yourself, you know. Because if you're depressed, it's probably due to your own actions, your own habits, which you stack on every single day, you know. Like if you're, you know, depressed because you watch porn, you go ahead and play video games, you watch anime all day, I don't know, like you scroll TikTok all day, you know, you're depressed because of this, you know, not for some other sort of external reason, you know. It's all about your own habits, the way that you look at things, you know, your own mindset, little by little. Like for example, like if you're unsatisfied with the way that you look, you know, like you're overweight, going out and like cycling, going out and, you know, like getting like a few K steps today is going to make you feel better, you know, because you're getting that momentum. And, you know, so many people talk about like the sort of downward spiral, you know, like, oh, you know, he's depressed, you know, his girlfriend left him, he started smoking, he started taking drugs, he started drinking alcohol or something. But, you know, a positive momentum is there as well. It exists, you know. If you start going to the gym, you start taking care of yourself, you know, like you start improving your diet, caring about your fitness, you're going to start caring about your sleep, you're going to start caring about your diet, you're going to start thinking about, okay, how do I spend my time more productively, you know. Like all of this stuff adds up, you know, eventually, and you start feeling better and better, you know. So yeah, that's the same way how I also deal with, you know, like my times in life where I feel unhappy. So yeah, I think like these are all of the questions. Maybe I'll see. I'll see if like I didn't miss like a single question or something. Wait. I'm gonna like check TikTok as well because I'm curious. I don't want to miss a single question. You know, if I'm answering all questions, I better, you know, answer all of them. I'm gonna see. Okay, I think like these are all of the questions. I'm happy. I'm happy I answered all of your guys' questions. You know, I'm assuming I answered all of your guys' questions. I hope I really didn't miss anything. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. You know, like the people who made it this far, like they're the real OGs, bro. Like they're the real OGs, you know, who made it this long into the video. I don't know how long this video is gonna be when I post it. With like the workout which I did you know, like today, like all of this stuff is just gonna be piled into like one video. So yeah, thank you guys for the support. Like genuinely like watching all of this video through, you know, thank you for the people who, you know, gave me questions and stuff, you know. uh Even if it were like a few questions or anything, like, you know, like the fact that people actually, you know, care about me, they care about this channel, you know, they want to learn something from me, it all means a lot, you know. And I'm so happy that I do this, you know. Like I'm so happy I have the courage to go ahead and, you know, post videos, record videos, and, you know, answer all of your guys' questions. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and stay tuned.